There's something that comes with teaching thousands of drummers around the world over the past few years, and that is knowledge of what common problems are with common things that we encounter as drummers. Now, for triplets, I find that there are 3 issues. There are some others, but these 3 I find to be the most glaring. The first one being we have problems with the upbeats of the triplets, or the offbeats, the same things with 16th notes. The spacing of 16th notes is often off because someone is uncomfortable with the E's and the U's. The second thing is that we're uncomfortable going from triplets to 16th notes. Changing that subdivision is hard. Likewise, we're uncomfortable going, number 3, from triplets to 8th notes and back to triplets. So these are the 3 problems that these 3 exercises address in this lesson. Let's get down to it. I often find that we have trouble with triplets just because they're unfamiliar to us. So this part of these exercises is becoming comfortable with a subdivision that we don't play as often as others. This first exercise is meant to help you do that. Sometimes when playing 16th notes, the reason I find students have uneven 16th notes is because they're uncomfortable with the E's and the U's. And it's the same with triplets. They're uncomfortable with those offbeats. So in this exercise, it consists of 2 measures. And in measure 1, obviously, we're gonna have 4 beats of triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4, all right? 4 sets of 3 notes. In there, I'm gonna accent every right note. For some of you, that's gonna be a problem because we're counting in 4 and yet we have 6 accents. So that creates this 3/2 type of a polyrhythm. The next measure, we're gonna do the same thing, except we're gonna flip the accent to the upbeats of the triplet. So all the left hand, it's gonna go 1 la-li, 2 la-li, 3 la-li, 4 la-li. That's how I count triplets. 1 la-li, 2 la-li, 3 la-li, 4 la-li. You can count them however you want, but for me, that's worked over the years. And again, for some of you that may not be difficult, and for some of you it may be difficult. Now, the thing that we're gonna do with these exercises, we're gonna take them around the drum kit. So the first thing we're gonna do is put them on the toms. So those 2 measures together on the snare sound like this. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. The first thing we can do is add the toms to it. See the crossover there? There's a lot of fun combinations. The second thing we can do is take it to the cymbals. You see me reaching for some of the cymbals, trying to explore what I can do. So you'll have different options depending on your setup. That's the first exercise. The next exercise is used to bridge the gap with you going between triplets and 16th notes. That's another big sticking point for players. 2 measures, and in the first measure, we're gonna accent every 4 triplets, starting with the first one. 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly. 1 lolly, 2 lolly, 3 lolly, 4 lolly. That's kind of hard because we're counting to 4 and we have every 4 triplets an accent. It plays with your brain. That's the whole point of this. Now the second measure, we're going to have 16th notes and we're going to accent every 3rd 16th note starting with the first one. So again, that's going to create a polyrhythm. First measure. second measure, together, take it to the toms. Then we can take it to the cymbals. The third exercise is gonna play around with you going from triplets to eighth notes. Again, another sticking point. Anytime we're going from one subdivision to another subdivision, there's an opportunity for a train wreck right there. This particular one, in measure one, it's 2 measures, but we repeat the first measure 3 times. So we're gonna have a total of 4 measures for the exercise. First measure, first measure, first measure, second measure. In the first measure, we have 2 sets of triplets, and we have an accent on the last triplet of each beat. So it's gonna go 1 la li, 2 la li. 3 and 4 and. We're gonna play that 3 times. And in the last measure, we're going to have, again, you know how in that last exercise we had kind of that four accent pattern that was going over this 3-note subdivision? We're gonna do the same thing, but we're gonna throw it off and we're gonna do 2 accents. And I know that's a complicated explanation for how we're gonna do this, but let me explain very quickly. It's gonna go 1 la li with an accent on the la li. The second measure is 2 la unaccented and then li and the accent on the downbeat of 3. So it's 3 accent, unaccented, unaccented on the other 2 notes with that beat 3. And then in beat 4, we're going to have an accent on the downbeat of 4 and the second triplet partial of 4. All together. Put those 2 measures together. I'll see you here in the next video.